Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. What an absolute boil-over. Post-fight review, Fabio Wardley defeats Joseph Parker at the O2, and this was a fight that was edge-of-the-seat stuff. Huge momentum swings, both guys seemingly hurting the others, delivering punishment, but ultimately, the 11th round, Fabio Wardley gets on top, stops Joseph Parker on his feet. And I'm sure that there's going to be a little bit of controversy about the stoppage. Referee Howard Foster jumps in. Fabio Wardley in the post-fight said he thought Foster should have jumped in sooner. Whereas I think from what I've seen online, and my initial reaction was maybe a tad too soon, but ultimately it's in the books now. Parker, he was gesturing that it was premature, but huge result for Fabio Wardley. The fairy tale continues. Wardley was the underdog in this fight, and for good reason. Joseph Parker was a very experienced fighter on the top of his game. He'd beaten a slew of good fighters, Martin Bakole, Zhang Jilei, Deontay Wilder, to get to this point after his loss in 2022, had a bit of a golden run, and he was on the doorstep of a world title, almost fought Daniel Dubois, was waiting for a fight with Alexander Usyk, and during the wait he decided to take the risk and take this fight, and it's backfired. But it's Fabio Wardley who takes the opportunity, stops one of the top fighters in the heavyweight division, and Wardley himself mints himself as a fully minted contender. I think ahead of this, what we knew was Fabio Wardley was dangerous, but he was sloppy. You know, we'd seen him get pretty much conclusively outboxed by Justice Hooney, but then stops Hooney late. And Frank Warren, after this fight, said again, he only needs that 1 second to land the shot that'll change the fight, sort of, building on that whole sort of Deontay Wilder mantra. And it's proved out again. But this was a pretty epic fight from a sort of fan perspective and watching, because it was all over the place. You had a 262-pound Joseph Parker, who was, again, heavy for this one, trying to assert himself early and having success in that first round, landing a right hand that seemingly hurt Wardley. And it was interesting because Wardley said after the fight he was hurt by nothing, but there were multiple moments in this fight where he was either looking hurt or momentarily stunned. But what you do have to say is Fabio Wardley's chin is absolutely ironclad. Joseph Parker's got a good chin. He's proven that over and over. But Fabio Wardley took a lot of punishment and he walked through fire to ultimately grind down Joseph Parker in this one. And it looked like actually round two where Parker had some success. He hurts Wardley, right hand, but ultimately Wardley comes back and looks like he's about to stop Joseph Parker, but Parker gets out of the round, spits the gum shield out and manages to get to the corner. And what you did see for the next couple of rounds was Wardley basically on top, but then Parker, he gets back into the fight. He's conclusively winning rounds. I mean, I think I gave him rounds 5, 6, and 7. And this is the point in the fight where you had Fabio Wardley looking pretty tired. You had Joseph Parker starting to figure Wardley out, especially with Wardley trying to avoid right hands by ducking down to the right-hand side, giving Parker the shoulder, but ultimately Parker started to read the patterns and sort of time him with the left hook. There were moments where it looked like the left hook was way open for Parker to throw it, but for a portion of the fight, Parker looked a little reluctant. But he started to hone in, especially, mid-fight, and started to have a lot of success. But, round 10 was really where it really changed. And this is after a round 9 where Parker was landing a lot of good work, and I gave him that round. And actually, before I go on, Wardley needed the stoppage because the cards, as they said in the commentary, Parker was ahead by 6 rounds, 2 rounds, and 1 card was level. And on my card, heading into that round, I had it 5 apiece, but round 4 was basically a toss-up round. So my card, if I flip 1 round, could have either been the second or the third scorecard. But 6 rounds, that's a little maybe unfair or uncharitable to Wardley, especially given some of the work that he was doing. But Parker, for all money, looked like he was going to grind this one out and get a decision. A hard-fought one. I mean, this was certainly a fight where it takes, time off your career, because both these guys took a lot of punishment. It is the sort of fighting style, Adam Kovnatsky is an example, Jarrell Miller, but Kovnatsky, eventually his chin cracked. Wardley, and Parker, they took a lot of punishment, a lot of big shots, and, you got to sort of question, how much, even though Wardley said this is one of his biggest attributes, ultimately sometimes the chin cracks. Anyway, that's by the by. After the fight, he was asked about what's next, and Wardley said Usyk. So a situation here, we'll have to see what happens on that. I think I'll probably do another video, but focusing on this fight, obviously a huge finish for Fabio Wardley, hurting Joseph Parker. It was a huge uppercut, and then he just unloaded and was throwing shots and shots. And I was sort of thinking to myself, Parker's got to tie up here. He's got to do something. Maybe he's got to take a knee, but he was on his feet, and he wasn't obviously throwing enough for the referee to judge that he could continue. So I think there will be a little bit of controversy about the stoppage, but ultimately the way that was going, it was coming. Might have been only a couple more seconds had it continued, but I think based on what we saw, Parker was effectively out on his feet. He was struggling to really sort of keep the shots at bay, and not a lot was coming back from him. Maybe done a little bit dirty by the referee. I guess people have their views on that. But this was edge of the seat stuff. Highly enjoyed that. Whether Wardley actually gets Usyk next, unclear. There's the potential maybe Usyk could drop the belt and then try to become undisputed heavyweight champion again. Ahead of this fight, I would have said Usyk beats both these guys. But you have to give Fabio Wardley a lot of credit, and he even cited it after the fight as well, that, he's made up a lot of chin, heart, and determination. And all those things were on display. So I think this is the sort of matchup for a lot of heavyweights that maybe Wardley will be able to grind them down as he did to Joseph Parker. The question with the weight, was it too much, too heavy? Parker was slowing down, but so too Wardley. Wardley looked pretty gassed after about 6 rounds, but what we have seen is that he seems to be able to fight tired effectively, and he still carries his power late. Some heavyweights have good snap on their punches for a few rounds and it sort of tapers off. Wardley, he shows that, even if he gets hurt and clipped and takes a good shot, great powers of recovery, and he's still got enough in the tank to really land something telling that will swing the fight. Really enjoyed this one. How about you? How did you see it? Did you also think that Parker was going to sort of grind this one out, get to the finish line and get a decision? Not to be. Fabio Wardley moves on after beating Justice Huni, now beats Joseph Parker. Is he, in your view, a top 3, top 5 heavyweight? Where do you rank him? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.